4, 3, 2. Fix the recording. Here we go. Take 3 Wrestling Podcast coming to you June 3rd, 2021. Of course, I'm Ernest Christian, with Mike Rainier, Joe Lopez. Mike, love your shirt.
Stay golden.
Stay golden. Joe, what the hell? This white shirt tonight? Nothing.
I look really good in white, as a matter of fact. So
didn't say you did it. I just said you don't wear a wrestling shirt or something on your ordinary.
Yeah, I didn't feel like finding a wrestling shirt, and it is Gay Pride Month, so I could have found something a little bit more gay. But I went with white because I look good in white.
Well, I am looking forward to this podcast today. We got a lot to talk about. We got a AEW show to review from this past Sunday, which I wasn't going to do. Then I realized, oh, wait, Dynamite's not until Friday. So we can still do this. I wasn't
going to do it. I wasn't going to suggest it as a topic. And then you started texting about the show, and I was like, oh, shit, Ernest actually watched it. We can talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it. We'll get into that, of course. But let's get to the...
You know I'm right, Mike.
Yeah.
Before we begin, for those of you watching on YouTube, and for those of you listening at home, this show and every take that I have is presented by Corona, because I brought two of them into this recording chamber because I think this show has become an absolute shit show.
We're not allowed to have things sponsored by Corona after 2020.
No. Corona Extra, not Corona sickness. There's a difference.
That's what 2021 is, Corona Extra. We're not allowed to have that.
Well, we're going to talk about Sting on the back half of the show. We're going to talk about Sting on the back half of the show, and of course, AEW Double or Nothing review and our thoughts. But I believe, Mike, this is your topic, right? To start off, right? The big news WWE. Lots of layoffs again.
Shut up.
WWE out there Papa Roaching itself.
Yeah.
Cutting
my life into pieces. This is my pizza report.
Yeah. Something like that.
Where is my knife and fork?
Let's get into it.
All right, my topic for this week's show, for those of you who haven't figured it out because Ernest segued it about 13 times, WWE did some things this week. Some good. Really? Mostly bad.
Yeah.
That one.
Is there any good?
Maybe.
I mean, I feel like
we might be able to get there.
I feel like for the stock owners, it was kind of good, possibly.
Potentially. All right, so on, what was it, Tuesday afternoon?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I thought it
24 hours
was
ago.
Tuesday.
I thought it was like 2 days ago.
It's yesterday.
I don't know.
It was yesterday.
Whatever.
All right, so, yeah. There were some cuts that were made to the WWE roster, including Lana, NXT superstar Santana Garrett. We lost, let's see, one of my favorites, the best kept secret in wrestling, Buddy Murphy. We also lost Braun Strowman, which is what we're going to go at in length.
Smiling.
and then the one that I don't get, and some people have said things since that have made this even more confusing to me, are the next two. One of which being Ruby Riott, who seems like she was loved by every member of the roster.
Yeah.
And then the one that was the brought back to then be let go portion of our show, which is Aleister Black, which is a very confusing process, kind of like trying to find tickets for concerts and sporting events online. So literally, I feel like the thing here is with WWE going back to a live touring system, 25 cities in a couple weeks. AEW is going back live. Impact tonight earlier announced that they're going to have fans in attendance for Slammiversary. So it's like everyone's starting to...
Which is funny because it's the first time in like 5 years they've been able to say they're going to have fans at Slammiversary.
Oh, it's weird, right?
Right.
So
okay.
Literally...
The joke is that nobody goes to Impact.
Yeah, no, I got the joke. I got it. Yeah.
Making sure you're with us.
I got it.
So the thing here is, what is WWE doing? Because there's been reports, and this is something that I kind of started to comprehend before the reports came out, and I said it in the group chat with you guys, that what if this is the buyout? What if this is somebody coming in to swoop in and purchase the naming rights of WWE? Now, with that being said, obviously the leader in the clubhouse would be NBC. They already have Peacock. They already have the network on Peacock. They already have all the shell of the house there. Now, if they can get the furniture that's inside the house with the shell of it and make the money off of it, why not?
Right.
But here's my thing, and I've thought about this over the last day or so. Just because NBC buys the WWE, takes over the contracts, and takes over the day-to-day financial situations, does this mean that we are really done with Vince McMahon? Because I don't think so. I think if NBC buys the WWE, they give the McMahon family a small percentage where they can still make money off of it. And it's not like NBC is going to be like, you know what? Let's go hire some new sitcom writers to write for the show. Let's go get somebody that doesn't know anything about wrestling to run the day-to-day operations. The only thing that I could see here that would make this viable to me would be if Vince retires and they put Triple H in full charge. And that's what NBC decides to do whenever they take over, if that's who they sell to. That's if they sell at all. This could very well be Vince is saying, man, we took one on the chin, and some of these people that we signed were signed to hefty contracts, weren't willing to take pay cuts, because who the fuck's going to take a pay cut in a pandemic? But, I mean, to be brutally honest with you, they don't have a ton of guys right now. And I talked to Craig about this, friend of ours of the show, and I said, what if this is also potential, rather than going to two brands, let's wrap this bitch back up in saran wrap, and let's make this a one brand, two shows, and stop this like inter-promotional shit. Like, you got one roster. They're on Raw, they're on SmackDown, they're on the pay-per-views. You got
basically 1998. Basically 1998.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And why not use what's coming up to be, if you do sell, I'm not saying relaunch, but I'm saying unify. Unify the tag titles, bring back a better looking tag title belt. Unify the world titles, let one of those stay as the world title. You can keep the Intercontinental title and the United States title. You don't have to unify those, because there's a lot of mid-card guys. You can space those out and make those still work and it not be a clusterfuck. So, I guess my question to you guys in the topic, now that I've long-winded explained this, what do you guys think Vince is doing here, first off? And second off, what is your take on the bodies that were released? I'll let you guys talk about the bodies and what you guys think are going on, and then I'll give my takes on each individual person that was released, saying I already gave my response on what I think is happening.
Well, let's start with the bodies first, because obviously that's the first, thing to react to. And I think, look, we gotten used to seeing releases in this COVID era. We had, I think at least two sets last year, maybe one set last year.
Didn't we have one time?
We had one last month with NXT.
We had some NXT bodies.
Next
but
month.
No one that was really,
not to the level of the names released yesterday.
Right. But the name value.
Last year when it was like Hawkins, Ryder,
the
Mike
OC,
Kanellis, the OC,
right.
the Revival got cut.
Like the last set of releases where it had like Peyton Royce and Billy Kay on it, where it was like, wait, weren't they just on TV last night? This has that level of releases where it's like you were saying about Aleister Black, where he literally just got brought back to TV. He literally just got put into a feud with Big E. That was going to be something fresh for Big E and, kind of fresh for the show in general. And now he's gone. He just out there. That's it. That's a weird one. Or Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's starting to make a little bit more sense because, you've heard at this point about how he had some ridiculous contract. That
I heard.
I
heard his I don't know if it's true or not, but someone on a podcast, I think it was the Masked Man show with David Shoemaker, said that his contract was upwards of $2 million.
So what I had read, I think on Twitter or somewhere, I think I read it on Facebook, but it was a tweet, was that his contract was structured in a way where he was guaranteed at least $1 million a year.
Okay.
Through
his downside
was $1 million a year through 2023. So if that's the actual case, they just got themselves out of $2 to $3 million for a guy who, quite frankly, y'all know my feelings on Braun Strowman. He don't deserve $1 million a year. And the funny thing is, I think you sent a message earlier, Ernest, to the group where you were saying how someone had pointed out that they felt that WWE had gotten all they could out of Braun at this point.
That was him that sent that stupid text message.
Right. Yeah, someone posted a little thing.
So I fully disagree with that.
Okay.
I think that Braun Strowman actually, and I say this as someone who's not a Braun Strowman fan, as you know, I think, and let's mind you, I'm mostly not a fan of his because of the shit that he said during the pandemic about independent wrestlers, which, your ass is unemployed now, bitch. So, yeah, how's that feel? But anyway, I guess I probably don't feel that bad if you were just making $1 million a year.
I was going to say, I think he's okay right now.
Yeah.
He's probably doing all right.
Check on him a couple of years.
Talk to him 6 to 8 months and let's see where he's at.
But all I'm saying is I actually think that in-ring wise, he's an extremely talented wrestler. He's shown us actual wrestling skills for a man his size. Like, he had that one match with Big Show where it was, at the end of that match, you were just like, I just watched a wrestling clinic with Braun Strowman and the Big Show. What is life? That was what that was like. So I actually think that in the right hands with the right booking, Braun could be something. I'm kind of hopeful that he ends up in AEW or somewhere. Maybe not AEW, but somewhere where they could actually use him in a way that's actually beneficial for him. Because the way WWE was using him, they weren't consistent. Sometimes he was a monster. Sometimes it was like, look, he can wrestle. Sometimes he was Braun Strowman. Sometimes he was, let's get him into his cage match with Shane because Shane's just calling him stupid. Like, there was no consistency with Braun's character overall. If this was Gossip Girl, you'd be like, yo, the fuck is up with Blair right now? She's just doing random shit. It's not entertaining. I've been watching a lot of Gossip Girl. It's not entertaining. So I think that the booking ruined Braun Strowman. I don't think that Braun Strowman overall as himself was the reason why he was so shitty in WWE. I think the way they booked him was why he was so shitty in WWE. And it didn't help when last year when Roman was like, I can't do WrestleMania because of the pandemic and my health, that Braun was the guy they decided to go to with zero buildup and zero anything and have him beat Goldberg in like 2 minutes. That was one of the, I feel like they thought that was going to help Braun, and I think it actually made things worse, honestly. Because they didn't follow up on it.
Well, I mean, I think that they kind of were strapped because Goldberg wasn't coming back after WrestleMania. They had to get the belt off of Goldberg no matter what.
They had no choice but to get the belt off him, but I think the way they did it and the person they used, probably a big mistake.
The way they did it, absolutely, I agree with. He should have, ran through some people on SmackDown and won the shot and
I don't know what the stat is, but I feel like he didn't do very much prior to WrestleMania last year getting into that.
Well, I know he had gotten the Intercontinental Championship about 2 months before that WrestleMania match. And then Roman didn't commit to staying off WrestleMania until I think maybe 3 weeks before the actual event. So it'll been kind of hard for Braun to start going through the week-to-week SmackDown, scenarios. I mean, plus the taping shows too on top of that.
Once Roman announces that he's not going to be there, tape it. Tell Braun and 4 other guys to show up at the Performance Center Tuesday afternoon at fucking 3:00 and have a fatal 4-way or a 5-way gauntlet match and just have Braun run through all of them, and that's how Braun gets the shot. That's how Braun at least has a build to getting into the title picture, because he doesn't have a build at all. He wins the title in 3.5 minutes, and then it's just like, oh, all right, I guess we're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so real quick. So obviously the big thing.
I don't think that they got all they could have gotten out of Braun Strowman.
Okay.
No.
Because I think here's the thing. He's a guy right now, brutally honest. If he goes to New Japan and puts on as good of a match as he did with the Big Show, he'd be a good gaijin.
I would love to see him in New Japan now that you say that.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine putting him with Ospreay's group with Jeff Cobb and have him and Jeff Cobb just destroy the entire fucking tag team division?
As long as Gato doesn't put him in any blindfold matches, I think we'd be okay.
Here's the thing. He can't go to Bullet Club.
No. God, no.
Not after shitting on independent wrestling, because Tama Tonga was one of the guys that was like, bitch, what? So, literally, I don't think he can do that. He's also a guy that, I get it, independent wrestling. He could go be a very integral piece of Ring of Honor. He could go over with Hunter and all those guys, Delirious, and have a decent run there. AEW on paper makes a ton of sense. AEW, though, has a roster right now themselves that they're not using half of.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like if you're gonna give me one or two males off of this cut list that are gonna end up there, I'd much rather it be Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy.
I mean, I feel like Buddy Murphy is almost a guarantee to end up there for some reason.
For AEW?
His in-ring work though is fucking phenomenal.
The only thing I'll say though is that he'll still be a mid card guy in AEW the same way he is in WWE at one point. I don't see him.
No, wait. Okay,
as good as he is. I love him.
Let's wait. Just this literally just came to my mind, so I'm just gonna throw it out there right now. By the way, I like how your hat's turned around. You're so cool, bro. So here's the thing, right? How would you guys feel about, like, I don't know, not this Friday, maybe next week or something, Aleister Black, I'm sorry, Tommy End, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy show up as a group on AEW. You know, they like their groups. They could be the Performance Center Factory or something.
A takeover?
They can't.
Because
they have a 90-day no compete.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
So in 90 days they show up like that.
What they should do, and if AEW is smart, and we're gonna get to it when we talk about Double or Nothing, because let it breathe, motherfucker. It's a true thing. This is the perfect opportunity to have a almost NWO moment.
That's what I'm saying.
Have that first wave show up. Samoa Joe, Andrade, even to an extent, Leo Rush, who was the entrant in the Casino Battle Royale.
Is he officially like signed a contract?
No. I think he has open
contract
with MLW and everybody else, and New Japan, because he signed with New Japan. He is signed with New Japan.
Who?
So Leo is part of.
Oh right, yeah, because he's doing like
yeah. So he's contracted to New Japan. He's there in MLW. So I think New Japan was the one that helped get him into the Battle Royale. But if you go back to that first wave of cuts, like, and even to an extent, I know you don't want to use Miro this way, but you could almost use Miro as like the guy who lets them in the building, because obviously Miro came from WWE. But that's not the route that I would personally go. I'd leave Miro out of it. But this is a perfect opportunity to get, some guys. Joe, Andrade, who else was cut in that wave? You could bring
one from like 2 months ago.
Yeah, it was Joe.
Well, you had the Peyton Royce of the world, all that.
Look up the Slammiversary teaser video. You'll figure out everyone that's available in wrestling right now.
But then you have Alexander Wolf. You could bring over with them. I mean, you could literally have the 3 or 4 of those with the Iconics come over, start a faction, and you could bring in Tommy, Braun, Murphy, and Ruby. And next you know, you have an 8 to 10 person inside fucking hit squad trying to fucking take out AEW from within.
Right. And man, like I said, they like their stables. So I mean, I feel like it's not even the worst way to debut a whole bunch of guys at once.
No, and like I said, but it's gotta be authentic. They gotta come in and they gotta do what Nexus did. Like, beat the shit out of everybody, leave the place a mess, and then just walk out the back door. Don't walk up the ramp. Don't walk into the back. Walk down the truck ramp where the Revival came in their old school truck, or walk up the steps and walk right out of the building. Don't go up the ramp. Don't do anything AEW related. Fucking beat the piss out of whoever's in the ring and then just leave.
Right.
It's safe to say that the most obvious of the cuts from yesterday, AEW Mountain's gonna be Lana, right? Obviously because of Miro. The Miro connection. That's the obvious one.
I don't know that I'm necessarily all in on her showing up, at least not right away.
I could see her showing up. I'm kind of hoping it's only in a valet role, because she's never been good in the ring, and AEW doesn't need another shitty female wrestler.
I don't even know if that's going to be the route that she takes, because she could probably do a bunch of different things. She could probably do some acting roles. She could probably do some other stuff. I don't necessarily think that Slam Dunk, she's the one that's the slam dunk going to AEW.
I think Aleister is the one who's the slam dunk.
I think Ruby's the slam dunk.
I can see that too.
I see Ruby also too.
That also.
Because I think she's someone that can come into the women's division right now in that company and be an absolute star. Me and Joe talked about this, and me and Joe, for those of you that don't know, we're on a message board, and we're going to fantasy book using the roster of wrestlers that have been cut by WWE over the last 2 years during the pandemic. So we're going to literally fantasy book our own promotion for, however long we stay
That's
with
interesting.
It. Well, the best part was the minute that Ruby got released, me and Joe were like, man, our women's division really kind of sucked. Now we at least have someone that we can really push to the moon.
Yeah, for real.
And that's the one thing I was saying to you. I think I said a year ago when we were talking about the women's division in AEW needing help and you couldn't benefit from defections or cuts.
Yeah.
There's opportunity here. Ruby Riott right there.
Oh, yeah, no, I think Ruby, they'd be dumb not to sign Ruby and get her on that roster. She's fantastic. Heidi Lovelace is probably the name she's going to go by again. That was the name that she used on the indie scene before.
I don't know, because she put something out on Instagram today that was very interesting when she talked about it.
Yeah, I saw that, but I bet that Ruby Riott is a name that WWE owns.
No, but she was like, she even mentions Heidi. She goes, Heidi was given to me. Ruby was taken from me.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to go under from here on out, but no, I'll be around. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know that we're necessarily getting Heidi Lovelace back.
I mean, I love the name Ruby Riott, personally. I think that's a fantastic name.
Luckily, her look stands out anyway, that people will know like that.
And she's great in the ring.
Honestly, and I know you haven't watched a lick of it, Ernest, but Heidi in Chikara was fantastic.
She was the world champion at one point.
Was she really?
Overall company world champion, I'm pretty sure, wasn't she?
No, it was Kim.
Are they within both? I thought they both held the belt at certain points.
No, I think Heidi had the tag titles. I don't think she ever won the world title.
Okay.
But
the AEW would be dumb to not sign her. If I'm being honest, I think that the biggest name on this list of people released, and like actual name value, not my opinion on wrestling, is Braun Strowman. I think he's easily the biggest name. The reason why I don't think that he's the biggest, definite to be signed anywhere is because I'm not so sure that I don't think he's just going to end up back in WWE. Probably with a much smaller contract, but, if he wasn't willing...
Could it also be the fact that he's 37 years old, and I don't think he's going to go grind the indie scene for the next 5 years of his life?
I don't think that the indie scene wants him after the shit that he said anyway, to be perfectly honest. But I could see him being that guy who he got one over on WWE. He got this ridiculously huge contract with them. He got a nice amount of money from it over the last few years. Now they're like, okay, bitch, we're done with you, but we're not really done with you. If you're willing to come back and renegotiate a new contract, well, it's not going to be anything near what it was. And the thing is, he's not going to make that kind of money anywhere else anyway. He's probably not going to make anything near what he'll make in whatever new offer they give him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe.
At a certain point, he ends up back in WWE. Just probably had a lot less.
Not only that, he's always kind of felt like a WWE lifer anyway, too. Low key.
He's been there for what? Only 5 or 6 years.
He's gonna be wrestling what?
Yeah, but he had no wrestling experience when he signed.
True.
They literally developed him from fucking greener than fucking an apple tree to at least having decent wrestling matches.
The sad part is he's the exact kind of talent though. Remember I brought up that topic about can you be one of the greatest wrestlers ever if you've only worked in one place? He's exactly the kind of wrestler who would really do well going and getting experience elsewhere, working in New Japan, working maybe in AEW, getting himself out there under different, creative ideas in different environments with different fans, and actually be able to hone his skills even more than where he's at. Because if you're working in front of the same audience all the time, you're only going to get so far, even if they get bored of you, you're not going to necessarily know what else can work, what else doesn't work, You get that from a new audience. And let me tell you, the Japanese audience and the American audience are not the same thing. I'd argue that the AEW audience and the WWE audience aren't even the same thing. So you really, he would get value out of that. I don't see it happening, but I think he would get a lot of value out of it.
As for the business side of this real quick, though, I would never believe Vince would have sold this soon before COVID. I feel like COVID maybe actually changed some things now in his mind. That maybe if I'm going to sell right now, at least prepare for the inevitable next 2-3 years.
So first of all, how much of the company does Vince McMahon actually own? Does anybody know?
Probably like a majority stake. I don't know the actual percentage.
I don't actually think that he personally has a majority stake anymore. Because remember, he sold off a lot of shares to fund the recent XFL debacle.
True.
I could see the family overall having like majority ownership, maybe having like 51% ownership or something like that. But Vince McMahon himself, I don't actually think has that much ownership. This is why, like, I think that wrestling fans in general get very caught into what they see on TV being reality. Right. That it's and it's one of those weird things because we know we're watching a show. We know we're watching a performance. We know we're watching just something that's scripted. And yet we all kind of buy into everything they show us as being real. So we all buy into Vince McMahon owns the company. We all buy into that. When meanwhile, the truth is, at this point in the year 2021, Vince McMahon is far from being the sole owner of the company. It's a publicly traded company, you know?
Okay,
there's a board of... Huh?
So I'm looking on Google right now, which is why if you're watching on YouTube, you can't see me.
Right.
I just typed in what percentage
John Cena
does Vince own? So as of January 13th of 2021, 1:37pm.com says that Vince McMahon is not only the chairman of the board and CEO, but is still majority owner of the WWE as well.
Wow.
Vince owns approximately 42% of the company's stock, which gives him vast majority of voting power in the company, coming in at around 83%, and is a large part of his $2 million net worth.
That's right, pal.
So, okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for looking that up.
No, so thanks, man. That's good to know, actually.
Here's my thing. Even with that said, right, at the end of the day, Vince is a businessman. He is. And he does still have shareholders to make happy. He does still have a board of directors to make happy. Look, I know that we all in our dreams hope that one day he retires or, you know, if he, God forbid, passes away and that the company goes to Triple H or it goes to Stephanie and Triple H or it goes to Shane.
To all of them.
Just all of them, right. We've all hoped that for years. We've all felt like that's what was going to definitely happen. I think the reality is in the place that the world is now in a business, from a business standpoint, selling WWE makes 100% sense. If you're them, especially right now, look, you just got off of your most profitable year, like period. You weren't touring. You had basically no overhead costs. You cut a whole bunch of contracts and stuff so that, you know, the real like wasted money isn't being wasted anymore. They're about to start touring again. It's going to be profitable, especially up front because people are just excited to go to live shows again. WrestleMania was probably pretty profitable and all of that. They're in one of the best positions to sell because the business is good. You don't want to sell when shit's bad. You don't want to sell when everything is going wrong. You don't want to sell when Raw is all of a sudden about to be canceled by USA or something because everyone who advertises on it is giving up because the show's barely got like 200,000 viewers. I know right now they're like barely below 1 million or like barely above 1 million. But I'm just saying, I think at a certain point, when things are going really well for the company business-wise, of course, this is when you're going to entertain the idea of possibly selling because you're going to get a ridiculous sale on it. You're going to get billions, which apparently is mostly going to go into Vince McMahon's pocket. But guess who also owns a lot of shares in that company? Steph, Shane, Triple H, all those people. They're all going to get paid. They're all going to be able to never have to work a day again for the rest of their lives if they don't want to. Like, we've all hoped that they were going to be the owners, but we don't know that they ever wanted that. We don't know that they wanted to run wrestling into their 70s or whatever, you know.
Here's the thing. They don't necessarily need to be the majority owners to still be involved in the day-to-day operations.
Right.
So here's my thing. If we know that Vince owns, hypothetically, 42%, if he sells 22% for billions of dollars to NBC and gives them control,
right,
he still keeps 20%. Mixed with the percentage that Shane, Stephanie, and Hunter have, they would probably still technically have majority power over NBC.
Right.
If they really wanted to vote something down. Now, obviously, NBC probably isn't going to let Vince McMahon keep 20%. Maybe 10. Maybe where if you add up all of their stuff, it makes it like, okay, they've got like 17%. NBC can still vote over them unless they get every other fucking shareholder to vote for them. Whatever. I digress. Getting really ticky-tack with the situation. But the way I look at it from a perspective is I think that if you're looking at an out here, there's something bigger that's going to happen. Whether it's condensing the roster and going down to one roster, whether it's time to bring guys up from NXT like Balor and Cole and Gargano to fill the Aleister Black, the Buddy Murphy, the Braun Strowman mid-card roles, and then we get more people on NXT, fine. I think we have to let this one breathe. And again, it's a reoccurring theme. It's very easy to be very pissed off at WWE for what they did in the middle of the pandemic. Like, yes, it's real fucking shitty. Like,
of course.
I'm not trying to say that they should get a pass in this, but this is almost one where you kind of have to let this one breathe a little bit to see what the next step is. If they don't sell for another 6 months, okay, Vince is an asshole. If they sell in 3 months, Vince was getting his shit together to make a fucking shit ton of money for himself and his family. More power to you, bud.
Which now begs the question: do you think this is the case? Is he going to sell within? Okay, let's give it 2 years. Will he sell within 2 years? Prediction.
It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
Is it NBC that's buying it or is it somebody else?
I think anyone who's willing to offer a deal, but I think NBC right now is probably the company that would make the most sense. Well, though there's been rumors about Disney and stuff also.
But the other issue that I have with somebody else coming in and trying to swoop in, they already have a multi-year deal with Peacock.
So they have a multi-year deal for the network.
Yes. Vince also has a decades upon decades relationship with NBC anyway. So it's a lot of good faith there too.
It's going to be hard for someone else to swoop in knowing that they have to leave the network on Peacock for multiple years.
Right.
Disney would be like, oh, let's bring it over to Disney Plus. They can't bring it to Disney Plus right now because they're locked into a contract with Peacock.
No, at the point when the network, when they said no to ESPN and they went with the Peacock deal, that was a strong indication of where things were going. And, I said it myself. I don't know if I ever said it on the podcast here, but I've definitely at least said it to Mike, I'm sure, maybe even in the group chat. The second that they sold the rights to the network or licensed it out or whatever the deal is, I felt like the potential for a sale of the company overall all of a sudden felt real. And it never did before. If you told me 5 years ago, one day WWE might sell to some big conglomerate corporation, whatever, I'd have been like, no. They want to be the big conglomerate corporation. They're never going to sell to another company that's bigger. But the network selling was one of the biggest, most obvious signs that they're willing to explore this. Because look, at the end of the day, WWE as a business is two things. One, a content creator who creates at least 10 hours of content a week for whatever network it's on, multiple TV networks and stuff. The other thing they are is a company that has a ridiculous amount of video footage. And they know the value in video footage. If they didn't know the value in video footage, Vince McMahon would have never bought WCW. Vince McMahon didn't buy WCW because it would end the war or because I win, I'm the big man. Yes, we all know he has an ego. We've all heard these stories and stuff.
Of course.
But nobody has that large of an ego. Jeff Bezos doesn't have that large of an ego. That man's not about to go buy TikTok because someone told him you can't buy TikTok. It still has to make sense business-wise. Vince, of all people, understands that the video archive is where there's so much value. There's tons and tons of value in a video archive, especially one that you add to on a weekly basis. So, the fact that they swooped in and bought WCW when they did, just to get the video archive. Yes, there were ideas to, do a WCW brand, split off, yada, yada, yada. Those didn't pan out. But guess what the WWE did? They still split off. They just created their own brands. They were like, fuck it, WCW, we don't need it. Let's just SmackDown. That's fine.
It's also Vince, once again, staying ahead of the curve. Let's be real. The network sort of stalled out in terms of subscribers. were they 1.2 million subscribers only in the States alone? You know, by selling off that or the distribution to another company, you're making money there somehow, especially with COVID too. Because remember, for years, the last couple of years prior to this deal, we were hearing about them maybe raising prices and whatnot.
A name that makes a ton of sense now that Joe has kind of alluded to it. What if Bezos comes in and buys it?
Or Amazon?
Bezos fucking bought MGM, didn't he? Fucking
puts everything on Amazon Prime, because Amazon Prime, they have the Thursday night NFL games. Who works well hand in hand with the NFL? NBC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
look, if someone's gonna buy,
that's a little complicated on turning that. But I guess what you're saying.
If someone's gonna buy this company, it's gonna be someone huge. It's gonna be an Amazon, or it's gonna be a Disney, or it's gonna be an NBC Universal.
Honestly, if Vince was in the position to sell a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we don't have AEW.
True.
Because the Khan family probably just buys WWE and just does whatever the fuck they want with it.
So wait, is that Nick Khan guy related at all to the other Khan?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Have you read his background though? He basically someone who, like, from a business standpoint, is the guy you bring in to get your ducks in a row so you can sell your company.
Yep.
He's a shark.
And all of a sudden, I don't remember when this happened, but all of a sudden the name Nick Khan has become as synonymous with, like, PW Insider and other dirt sheets as fucking John Cena. You know, like, all of a sudden you see Nick Khan's name showing up all the time. Like, look, we're just fans. We're just people out there. We're reading the websites. We're reading the dirt sheets. We're on Twitter. So we're seeing the stuff that gets out there from those avenues. That's what we've got. It's kind of entertaining in and of itself, you know, to just follow these things along. Mm-hmm. Nick Khan's name has been out there as much as Tony Khan's name has. So the fact that this man is this involved at this point with WWE and knowing his background, like, there's so many. It's like if you were dating someone and they kept showing you red flags. It was like, leaves his dirty underwear on the floor, doesn't lock the door at night, doesn't know how to say I love you. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Nick Khan is like the red flags of selling your business. Like, honestly, these things are the red flags of selling your business.
Tony Khan literally did a promo last week mentioning Nick Khan.
Really?
Like, yeah, did a little promo before Dynamite last week about the New Japan stuff.
Wow.
So
in
closing,
last thing before we move on here, Booker T comment about Aleister Black not being able to separate himself.
Bad. So
Booker
bad.
T says a lot.
I gotta figure out where my camera is on my phone so I can look at this.
You're right there. I can see you.
Yeah, you're 3D.
Hey, Book. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong, sir.
Yeah, he's wrong.
I respect you as a wrestler. I respect you as a commentator. I respect you that you have an opinion. But guess what? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and some of them stink, and this one is god-awful.
Yeah, Booker, I love Booker. But
this has made me think of a whole new topic that maybe next week.
Okay.
So the Aleister Black comment, for those of you that haven't seen it, is Booker T's basically saying that Aleister Black couldn't separate himself from everybody in WWE. And what he's looking for is someone to separate himself. I'm sorry. Me and Joe had this conversation. I don't know if it was in the group chat or not, about fucking Roman Reigns basically having a Bill Goldberg fucking wrestling moveset, including a Superman punch.
It was in the group chat. Yeah.
Okay. Roman Reigns does nothing in ring to separate himself from anybody else in professional wrestling, except for the fact that he goes, "Ugh," and he looks like Jason Momoa from fucking Aquaman.
That's it.
Other than that, that's the only two differences that he can have from generic white guy number 3. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you can't tell me that you're looking for someone to do something different in the ring. And Aleister Black had one of the best fucking finishing maneuvers in all of wrestling for like a 3-year fucking span.
And not just that.
And now you're like,
best intros too.
I'm just gonna put this out there. Booker T is one of those wrestlers, and I'm a big fan of his and stuff too, who I feel like he almost falls into the Jim Cornette camp of, like, really old mentality. Like, I feel like if you read between the lines, right? If you read between the lines, he wasn't saying Aleister Black doesn't stand out. He was saying Aleister Black is short. That's like, I literally feel it's like if Aleister Black was 6'4", he wouldn't have said shit. But because Aleister Black is like 5'8", Booker T is like, I don't know, the man just looks like everybody else. It's the Kevin Nash vanilla midgets comment all over again.
It'd be different if fucking Booker was 6'5", but I mean, literally, or 6'8". I mean,
I agree. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's the, like, read between the lines. Because, honestly, Aleister Black is amazing. But we've even heard that, like, the whole reason Vince wasn't that behind him was because he was on the short side. Which is ridiculous.
It's dumb. And on that note,
I'm offended as a short person.
Let's get to the next topic here. Let's take here. Just 5 days ago, we just had a pay-per-view on AEW Double or Nothing. I enjoyed the show, fellas. How'd you feel with the show overall?
Time out.
Okay, what's up?
Mike's calling his time out.
This is the portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen, where if you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to get a drink, if you're in a car, feel free to take 5 minutes, get your shit together, come back, then press start. Because at the end of the day, you're getting ready to join a marathon because this bitch is going to be a long one. So if you need a break after the long beginning, you need to take 5 minutes. By all means, feel free to press pause.
You can just press pause.
I'm telling you to press pause now. Give yourself 5 minutes to come back, and we'll get into this fucking marathon that we're about to get into.
Timestamp this motherfucker.
Proceed.
And I will say, in Addicts, you just said about the time and all that. The reason why we're saying this because this was a really, really good, in my opinion, a really good card that deserves some attention. Obviously,
it was also a really long card.
Well, that's something we're going to have to. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's get to the first off to the buy-in, at the kickoff show. They call the buy-in, of course. Serena in 14 minutes and 5 seconds. Serena Deeb defeats Rio by submission. I didn't watch this match, guys, so I can't speak on it personally. The feedback I got was this was actually a really good match.
How did you not watch your favorite wrestler of all time wrestle? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I know. I'm slipping, dude. I'm slipping.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was actually a really good match too. Yeah. Like better than the women's match on the main show.
It's funny because
really?
I text Joe this and I was like, Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida is the Rhea Ripley versus Asuka match on WrestleMania, except for the Britt Baker Hikaru Shida match was better than the Rhea Ripley Asuka match. But the problem was they're following a female wrestling match that blew that one out of the water.
Yeah.
Do you need to spend more time on this match or just
I'd go back to it's not like it's long.
Good match. What I would say, the only thing that I frustration when we were discussing WrestleMania and there being no pre-show because Vince wanted that first live reaction to be of, what it is. I don't know that I would have had the NWA women's title defended in the first match with a full crowd of an AEW show.
Just weird. Kind of weird.
Just my personal, again, it's not one of those things that's earth-shattering, but it's one of those little things that I'm kind of like, maybe just have two AEW female wrestlers, or have like Rio and Serena Deeb tag together, take on like the Bunny and Penelope Ford or something. Like, let's just like they can have a decent match and then move on from it, but not have a different company's women's title match as the first thing back with a full crowd.
Right.
That's my only thing.
Right. Okay. Let's go to the main card. The first match on the actual card in 12 minutes even. Adam Page defeats Brian Cage by pinfall. We've spoken on the show for months upon months throughout this COVID era that it seems like AEW is kind of sort of on purpose, kind of slowed up Adam Page a little bit, in hopes that down the road that they could dust him off again once we get at the crowds.
Long term,
kind of feels like this Sunday was the launching point now for what Mike thinks. He said in the last podcast. Next week, not next week, next year at this time, Adam Page becoming world champion.
I'm gonna come back from that statement because here's the thing.
Okay.
That pop when he walked out.
Yup.
Cowboy shit.
I was about to say.
Give him the title and all out. Let's go.
Look.
Cowboy shit.
You wait. So you're moving up 9 months now?
Look.
Cowboy shit. Let's go.
The fact is, Adam Page is the most over person in AEW right now, and anyone who denies that is not paying attention to AEW. And
the only guy I even challenged as Orange Cassidy.
Y'all wrong.
And that's it.
No. Adam Page is the most over wrestler on that roster.
We'll get there because I still think Orange Cassidy should have won the world title. We'll get there.
Okay, real quick. Brian Cage, great opponent, didn't lose a thing by losing his match for the record.
No, of course not. You don't lose a thing by losing to the most over guy in the company.
Especially after you beat him 2 weeks before on Dynamite.
Right. And this might have been my favorite match on the entire show also. Like, I thought everything about this match clicked perfectly.
Arguably, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, the three-way world title match might be the only match that I would put above it, or at least it's a close second. Like they're neck and neck. But I love this opener. Like I said, like, to me, my biggest takeaway from this was I don't know how you don't strap the rocket ship to Adam Page at this point and just make it fucking happen. That man is your Stone Cold Steve Austin. That man is your Hulk Hogan. That man's got the power to be your number one star for a long time to come. And the longer, like, I get the whole slow build, burn, yada, yada, yada. But the longer they wait on this, it will be ruined. You can't have him sitting around doing fucking vignettes with the Dark Order for the next 9 months and then pull the trigger. That's not going to work.
Mike, you think pull trigger this summer?
Yeah.
And Joe, you the same?
Well, frankly, I'm like,
fuck yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Kenny Omega's title run right now. I can't stand his character the way it is. I don't even think he needs the belt. Like, that's the thing. Like, honestly, and he's not the most over talent in that company. He's just not. So like,
I don't know that I'd put him in the top 5.
I agree.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
Who?
No. I'm just saying.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 over more than Kenny Omega. Orange Cassidy 1. Adam Page 2. Jungle Boy 3.
Jericho.
Inner Circle 4.
Eddie Kingston.
Yes.
Friedman.
Eddie Kingston.
Kingston was over like fucking gangbusters.
Which goes to my next.
John Moxley might be over more than fucking Kenny
Which
Omega
is actually
right now.
a perfect segue because in 21 minutes, even the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, defeats Eddie Kingston, John Moxley by pinfall. I enjoyed this match. Maybe went a little too long, but I enjoyed this match. We spoke about the intro, come out the wild thing. Loved it. Obviously the prediction here, we all predicted that the Young Bucks were gonna win this match. No one, but I just love the entire thing. Look, and by the way, and I tweeted this tonight during the match. You know, say what you want about the Young Bucks, and God knows, I can't stand them. But in the ring, they are fucking fantastic. They put on a phenomenal show. That is it. So
when they want to be, and when they have opponents who they can really mesh well with, I thought that the slower pace of this match actually really didn't work for me. And I get it. It's kind of the style that Moxley and Kingston wrestle more than not. They're not going to be the high-flying, flippy-do guys that the Young Bucks are. And that's okay, because, like, look, the Revival, FTR, had a great match with the Young Bucks where it wasn't them doing a lot of flippy shit, and when they finally tried to, it cost them the match. You know? So that's okay for the Young Bucks to have this, like, styles clash with another team. But I just thought it was a little too slow. Like, this is one of those matches, I don't think it needed to be 21 minutes. This match could have gone away with being, like, 15 minutes.
60, right. I agree.
Minutes off of it.
I agree.
Put that someplace else. This was honestly probably one of my least favorite tag title matches at any AEW pay-per-view so far.
Fair enough.
And I think part of that is because I'm just really not into the Young Bucks right now, into the act that they're doing. Like, they've had better matches on AEW pay-per-view time and time again. And yeah, they're not delivering right now for me. This is my personal taste.
Biggest takeaway for me of this match, honestly, and now that we have full crowds again. Say it again.
That Eddie Kingston was over as shit.
Holy shit.
Holla.
Holy shit. They popped for him.
Yep.
They popped for both of them. My biggest takeaway from this match, in all honesty, get rid of the fucking BTE trigger. It's the stupidest fucking finish in fucking.
It really is.
What the fuck are we doing? Let's hold this guy's arm and then we're gonna knee him in the face.
And do it again.
And when he doesn't fall over, do it again. Like, no, like, come on, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? Go back to using more bang for your buck. Go back to using the Meltzer driver. I don't care. Stop with the little fucking Kenny
driver.
Got a question for you, Mike.
but finish it with the Meltzer driver. Don't do some fucking Kenny Omega light finisher. Like, what are we doing?
Well, that's one of the problems with the Young Bucks, though. That, like, 3/4 of their movesets are just finishers that don't actually finish matches anymore. It's like honestly, they still kind of do more bang for your buck. It never ends a match anymore. They still do the Meltzer driver. It never ends a match anymore. And give it about 6 months, the fucking BT trigger won't end matches anymore either. It'll just be another spot. They stole fucking Shawn Michaels' super kick and just turned it into another spot. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of what the Young Bucks do. Their entire offense is finishers that don't actually finish matches.
Quick question. If Renee Paquette wasn't pregnant, and that wasn't the situation with this looming over Moxley's head, do they make the title change here?
No, because AEW seems really dedicated to an almost fault at sticking the course and following through on whatever story they start, which on the one hand, yay, I appreciate it as a wrestling fan. I like continuity, all of that. On the other hand, especially now that you're in front of crowds again, like for the last year, both WWE and AEW have had this great benefit of no live crowds, which I know sounds like a negative, but from a creative standpoint, the positive to it was you didn't have to worry about a crowd not liking your storyline or being against the person you were trying to push. You didn't have to worry about people being like, oh my God, I'm so tired of Roman Reigns being shoved down my throat, because guess what? There's nobody there to complain about it. It just wasn't a thing. AEW's had that luxury, and now they're in front of live crowds again. You gotta listen to the live audience. You gotta listen to what they're saying. It's like we just got done saying about Hangman Page. The idea of him becoming champion a year from now sounded so great until the entirety of Daily's place blew up the way they did. And now I think we all agree at this point, like, they're dumb if they don't get the belt on him as soon as possible. You know, not like tomorrow night, but like within the next couple of months.
September makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, like they have to listen to audiences. Like Eddie Kingston getting the kind of reaction he did. I think Excalibur pointed it out on the commentary. Kingston's never even been in front of a live crowd in an AEW ring, like that size.
Yep.
Till this pay-per-view. And he was fucking top 5 pops that night. Kingston was probably within the top 3. To be perfectly
easily, absolutely.
Like, I think Orange Cassidy and Hangman Page are the only
two
people
Baker
who
probably
had a bigger pop than Eddie Kingston coming out.
Probably.
So, like that, I'm just saying, like, I think they need to follow their audience. If they were listening to the audience, could I see Moxley and Kingston winning the tag titles, like, sometime in the near future? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
Quick question, quick prediction.
I would say that September 6th is the night the Elite falls.
Like, overall,
the entire thing crumbles.
The Bucks lose to. I would make it Moxley and Kingston, because that gives John time to be with Renee after she has the child. I'd have Paige win the world title, and then I would have the foundation start to fall apart, and that's whenever you could then turn Kenny and the Bucks into whatever, and you could have the Bucks feud with the Good Brothers, and we could get some legs out of this, which I think should have been the route we went from the very beginning, because the Good Brothers being over here is absolutely fucking worthless right now.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It almost feels like they didn't have the Bucks turn face on Kenny because everyone was expecting it. And it's like one of those, and I hope I'm wrong about that, but you know how like we've all heard like Mr. Kennedy didn't end up being Vince McMahon's illegitimate child that time because everyone knew it was going to be that, and so WWE was just like, fuck it, we don't want to give them the obvious like end.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the same thing where it's like everyone was expecting that the Young Bucks were going to turn face. Let's not do that. Let's just have them turn heel. And it was such a mistake, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
All right, let's get to the Casino Battle Royale, which took 23 minutes 30 seconds. By the way, I love the concept of this thing. I do. I really do like it a lot.
I love the concept. I'm tired of it being on every single AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, it should be special. It should be
exactly. Do it once a year. Do it at Double or Nothing once a year. That's the one that has the casino theme.
Don't worry, guys. Tony Khan announced on last week's episode of AEW Unrestricted podcast that All Out will feature the female version of the Casino Battle Royale. So we're getting another one, boys and girls. Strap it in.
The one thing I will defend, though, about them doing a week pay-per-view. And but for the record, I agree. I don't want to have a pay-per-view. At least it means something. So the winner gets a future title shot. It means something.
Yeah, in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's too soon though. 2 weeks. 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
And then usually falls back into obscurity.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, Jungle Boy won the Casino Battle Royal by eliminating Christian Cage. Biggest thing of the night of the match, I believe, was Leo Rush. Was he the wild card or was he the
wild card?
He's the wild card, yeah. Made his appearance there, of course. Like I said, love the concept. Jungle Boy, you've been pushing for over a year about him being
Jungle
the
Boy.
future.
I think he'll be one of their top stars. It's what annoys me about the fact that he's going to get this title shot in 3 weeks on fucking Dynamite and then fall back into obscurity and wrestling on Dark and Elevation and Rampage.
I agree with you, but there is value of just being in the mix.
Oh, of course.
As long as he stays there, of course.
I'm right. Look, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not a big deal that he won a big battle royal to get a shot at the world title on a pay-per-view. Like that would be dumb. That would be stupid for me to sit here and be like, nah, man, he really won that great match on the pay-per-view, but they clearly aren't behind him. Obviously, they have some kind of belief in him. They could have easily just had Christian win that match, and that, Christian wouldn't lose anything by losing the world title match in a couple of weeks. I don't think Jungle Boy is going to lose anything, but I hope this isn't the end. Like, I hope it's not we get the title shot from him in 3 weeks and then he falls into obscurity again. Like, give me follow-up. Like, the follow-up we've gotten with Scorpio Sky since he won the Sonic the Hedgehog ring. That's been really decent. I've appreciated, right? I've appreciated the push that he's gotten since then. I've appreciated that they followed through this time. All I'm asking is follow through with Jungle Boy. Like, you're going to put him out there. Sometimes it feels like AEW has too many people in the mix, and it's hard to really, you can't push everybody at once. You really can't. That's an impossibility. And it's good to have all of these different people so that you can have the card be fresh and stuff. Because, look, you got to give AEW credit for one thing. Every week, Dynamite, it's pretty fresh. It's not tuning into Raw every week and figuring out which Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre match we're up to.
You don't get repeat matches either, which is good.
Huh?
You don't get repeat matches week after week. Repeat matches.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't get, even look, this coming Friday, I think tomorrow night, it's the Young Bucks against Pac and Penta. That's not a match we've seen. And we've seen the Young Bucks versus Pac and Rey Fenix. One little tweak, and it's something different. And guess what? It makes it more exciting. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm super looking forward to that match, but at least I'm not sitting here being like, wait, didn't I fucking already see this match? That's one thing I will give AEW credit for, and that's one part about having a big roster where there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of guys who are in big positions. That's when it's helpful. But for those of us who are fans of some of the guys who don't actually get featured every week, it can be kind of annoying. That's all I'm saying. I want to see Jungle Boy really get somewhere with this.
Yes.
That's
my favorite part of the Battle Royale was watching Max Caster just rap about everybody when he came out.
Also great. I loved it.
Awesome.
Loved it.
I love how he rapped about the three of them, and then looked at Powerhouse Hobbs and was like, "I'm good. Go." He's like, "I'm not even gonna fucking go down that route."
See, someone like Max Caster is in a perfect role. The Acclaimed are in a perfect role. You put them on TV once every week or two, every other week. You let fucking Max Caster go out there, drop some rhymes, insult a couple of wrestlers or whatever. He's over as shit. You maybe have them have a really good tag match because they are a great team. And then that's it. Guess what? You have a star on your roster, an unknown star, someone that you're making from scratch. All you had to do was give him 10 minutes worth of TV once every 2 weeks. Yep. And it's that easy, which is the more I think about it, I'm going to give AEW that credit that they're starting to get that. I mean, obviously they're doing it with the Acclaim. They're doing it with Jungle Boy now. They're doing it with, I think even Frankie Kazarian to a certain degree now that SCU is done.
Even 10 from the Dark Order.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're giving him time. They're even giving Stu and Uno time. So it's they're building guys for that next route because they went through that one calendar year where it was oh, here's Santana and Ortiz feuding with the best friends. Now you take them out of the integral pieces, and you put in the Acclaimed and Dark Order and stuff like that,
right,
to get to that next level. So it's like I think they're doing the best that they can right now with trying to keep the lineups as fresh as possible.
Yes.
The key thing for them, though, with Rampage coming up, they should really use Rampage for the guys that they're not using on Dynamite.
Yes.
Don't make it a Dynamite review show. Like, don't make it like, oh, here's what happened on Dynamite. Oh, here's one match from Dynamite, and here's one random match we're gonna fucking have on Rampage. Like, they should really be using Rampage to build. Okay, so the Acclaimed weren't on Dynamite this week. Then put fucking a 3-minute Max Caster rap about fucking whoever they're fighting next week on fucking Dynamite.
Right. Exactly.
Totally agree with you. All right. Next match here. In 10 minutes and 55 seconds, Cody Rhodes defeats Anthony Ogogo by pinfall. Dude, didn't care about this match, the build, you name it, didn't care.
Joe, you want to give us the Ogogo Power Ranger song again?
What?
That's how much I didn't like this match.
I was so not into this match. I didn't care.
It doesn't deserve my Ogogo Power Ranger. I'm gonna do it anyway.
There it
is.
Go ahead.
Okay. I saw a thing the other day online. I don't know if maybe one of you guys sent it. I thought I saw it on Facebook, where someone was saying how it feels like Cody Rhodes doesn't exist in the regular AEW universe. Like, he always seems to have his own things going on that have no effect on anybody else or anything else. He has nothing to do with Kenny Omega. He has nothing to do with the Young Bucks. He doesn't run into them backstage. He doesn't, cross paths with them on his way to the ring for a match. He's in his own little Cody Rhodes bubble that exists just for Cody and Brandy. And I'm not even mad at it necessarily, but it is kind of funny when you think about it because it's kind of the truth. And, okay, my thing with this match, number one, I get where they're coming from. I get that they're trying, again, you're trying to push new people. You're trying to make new stars. All of that is great. I don't think Anthony Ogogo is there yet. I think that he's the guy that still needs to be on Dark, getting some more ring time under his belt.
Was he hurt?
Getting some more experience.
Was he hurt also coming to this match?
Yes.
Ogogo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he really?
It was a report before Dynamite last week that he was hurt.
He wrestled that match with a broken rib.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't a good idea.
So,
but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. I get it.
So before the show started, when you were still setting up, Joe, me and Ernest were talking, and this topic came up, Anthony Ogogo, and I said, this is the absolute perfect thing to do. And Ernest gave me the stupid Ernest look that he normally gives us when he's confused.
Show listeners, because we were in recording time.
So I said, let me explain it to you. So for you at home, I'll explain it. This makes perfect sense. The one thing I did not like about the lead up to this match was making it USA versus Britain. Stupid. Just make it the Nightmare Factory versus...
Yeah.
Or the Nightmare Family versus the Factory. Leave the fucking country shit out of it. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. You're trying to get the cheap pop for the fucking American Dream reference. I get it. Fine. Done and over with. Now, Cody's getting ready to go have the baby. Hopefully everything goes swimmingly with him and Brandy. Pray for all that fun stuff. Now, Anthony Ogogo. We're getting back to touring. Getting back to having live audiences. In 6 months, whenever they have a English tour and they go over across the pond, they go have a cup of tea. The most over guy in the fucking building is going to be fucking Anthony Ogogo because they're going to love him. And this is where you push Anthony Ogogo to the moon. And this is where you build your first guy. And then he goes over to England. He becomes the babyface. Cody shows up. I've already beaten you. Plays the cocky, arrogant heel. And the newly crowned Olympic boxing bronze medalist, the British import, the fucking guy who now has everybody eating out of the palm of his hand like he had for the entire build-up to the pay-per-view, where he was cutting babyface promos on Twitter. And everyone was like, man, fuck Cody. You guys are playing into it. Because now in 6 months, when Anthony Ogogo becomes the most over-fucking built babyface in the entire company and gets the win back against Cody, and the long-term storytelling works, let it breathe, motherfucker. Let it breathe.
That's the theme of Take 3 Wrestling.
But I'm just like, I haven't seen anything from him in the ring. And granted, he had a broken rib in this match, fine. But I haven't seen any of his matches prior to this where I've been like, wow, this guy's really got it. Let's like strap the rocket ship to him and get him there.
Yeah, what? 2 matches prior to this?
Because both of his matches, the only offense they've let him have is a left hook and a right hook.
Right.
So the problem isn't necessarily the fact that Anthony Ogogo isn't getting it. Because here's the thing. If they're making Ogogo use this style of offense to make this look and save the appeal, it makes sense. Because at the end of the day, you don't know that he can throw fucking a scoop slam and a fucking snapmare and all that shit. It looks like he has the physique to do it. It looks like he has the mind to do it. Everybody that's talked about him has said that he's coming along swimmingly. Okay, so if he's coming along great, let's not burn the torch if we know that in 6 months we're going to actually try to do this to see where we're at. In 6 months, you're going to have a newly fathered Cody who's going to be, coming back. He's going to be you could play him as a heel or a face, depending on where Kenny and the Bucks are at this point. Because if your goal is to keep them separated, obviously if Kenny and the Bucks are faces, you're going to make Cody a heel.
Right.
Which is then when Cody goes, you know what, fuck you guys. I'm going to challenge for the world title because I'm an executive vice president. Shove it up your ass.
That's right.
And then you could have Anthony Ogogo on a British tour, come out, beat fucking Cody's new protege, insert random fucking soul here. I don't care who it is. Maybe it's somebody from an independent guy. Yeah, sure, Buddy Murphy, fine. We'll use Buddy Murphy for this fucking reference. Ogogo beats Murphy, cuts this promo about being, the British fucking import and fucking God Save the Queen, and comes out and gets all the fucking love from all the fans, and then tells Cody, oh, you cut that promo 6 months ago about bringing a mixed race child into the world and all this. He goes, I've gone through the exact same thing that you're trying to sit here and, prove that everyone can have a better life about. And then they go into another fucking feud. Ogogo gets his win back. Ogogo fucking gets even built up even further. Everybody gets behind him. And next thing you know, you have another new star that you've now built. A la Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy.
Because let it breathe.
Here's my thing. Wait. I love all of that as an idea. And if they actually do all of that, if any of that actually happens, if they follow through, which AEW over WWE, maybe they actually will. I more believe in them than I would WWE. If we get to look back in hindsight and be like, oh, wow, this is where all this started and that it ended up in this great place, awesome. For the actual pay-per-view itself, for existing here right now, I was just honestly like, all right, you guys gave me a shitty match that a guy who looked like he wasn't ready to be in the ring yet with Cody was out there and then lost. Like, you didn't even give him a win or anything like that. You just had him go out there and lose to Cody. Cody gained nothing by winning that match. Anthony Ogogo gains nothing by losing that match. And in fact, he loses a step in my eyes because it's like, all right, great. So, like, you had your big moment and you blew it. Awesome. That's where I'm at right now. And like I said, if all of the rest of what you said becomes the long-term plan and they follow through with that and we can look back on this and be like, oh, wow, that's where the story started, I'll be happy. I don't have that confidence that that's definitely where it's going. So I'm just reviewing the pay-per-view match itself. Shitty. Like, real shitty.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
One gay flag.
I don't think Anthony Ogogo loses anything from losing to Cody Rhodes while he was hurt. I think Cody actually loses something by losing that match to Anthony Ogogo, who's a guy who has 3 wrestling moves that includes a left hook, a right hook, and an uppercut. I mean, at the end of the fucking day, Cody's been in wars with guys like Lance Archer and Darby Allin and guys like that. Guys that like he's had great wrestling matches with. At the end of the day, him losing to a guy who has no fucking wrestling moves in a wrestling match makes no sense.
This was also, hands down, the worst Cody match on an AEW pay-per-view so far.
Easily.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
It's actually, so wait, I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit, Ernest. Sorry, not sorry. At some point, you text us that this was the greatest pay-per-view AEW's ever done. But in my estimation, and I liked the pay-per-view. I thought it was a good show overall.
I had a preface though when I said that though. What?
Who's
in my estimation,
Rubber Baby Bumper?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
In my estimation, so far we've had the worst tag title match on an AEW pay-per-view. We've had the worst Cody Rhodes match on an AEW pay-per-view. How is this the best AEW pay-per-view ever?
I prefaced it in the text too, saying I'm probably biased because of the crowd. Returning the crowds also. The crowd reaction. Because here's the thing also, it's like WrestleMania 2. The highs of this pay-per-view were fucking high. That it made you forget about the lows. Like I forgot Cody wrestled.
No.
I think that's the thing of having 10 matches on the card also.
Also, the most over thing about that Anthony Ogogo match was his attire. Because
Cody's.
No, Ogogo's. Because
my favorite was Cody's attire, the Sting 1990 look.
He was the Wish Captain America. Don't lie to me. Ogogo.
Lauren appreciate that for the record.
Yeah, I know she will.
Yeah.
Ogogo turned the Olympic rings into his name on the trunks. I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't notice that.
How did he get away with using the Olympic circles? Well, his name is OG.
Oh.
Ogogo.
No. I get that, but I think I remember it now.
Yeah, so it's the O, the G, the O,
right.
The G, the O. So it looks like the Olympic circles.
Fucking amazing.
But if you look at it close enough, it actually says a go-go.
By the way, the best thing about this match for the record was the Cody's theme. They went back to the old theme, not the fucking Snoop Dogg version. This is the record. Anyway, next match.
No, he actually went to almost like a fucking Stomp the Yard American fucking band fucking version of it. It wasn't the fucking.
Did Nick Cannon come
better
out?
Better Snoop Dogg.
He did.
Better than Snoop Dogg. Doesn't matter.
All right, fucking next match.
All right, next match here. In 9 minutes and 50 seconds for the AEW TNT Championship, the best man himself, Miro, defeats Lance Archer by
Can we stop with this stupid fucking nickname?
This nickname is not awful. The best man anymore. They gotta let that go.
I'm over it.
Steve song. What the fuck we do?
Different character. This is a case of AEW having almost blown somebody. Not like that. But they almost they almost I'm gonna try to reword this. Wait. They almost
Hold on. You can't.
Go now.
And there's no good way to say this, is there?
You can't.
Your head's
There's no way of fucking saying this. You can't.
So wait, okay, I'm gonna try this. Hold on.
Take two.
They had their chance to not ruin they have a second chance at not ruining somebody.
I'm trying so hard not to say blow it again.
I really am.
So hard.
Just say it. Fuck it.
I'm saying hard. So all I'm saying is I feel like that they almost blew it with fucking Miro. We're bringing him in as the best man, the video gamer, all of that. That's not what any of us wanted from Miro. We all wanted him to just be the fucking kick-ass Miro, Rusev. Like, well, we all know he's capable of being.
And we're there.
And finally. We're there. And the thing is, it's surprising to me that we've made it there because honestly, I thought that they probably ruined him. I thought that they probably blew it, like to a point where it wouldn't be recoverable. And I was wrong. In my eyes, they've recovered. He's a huge star. Right. I actually really enjoyed this match with Lance Archer.
Real quick, after that,
one of Miro's best singles matches, period, in his entire career.
After that, one thing I give AEW credit for, and they've done most of their 2.5 year tenure of existing, is they do course corrections. If it doesn't work, they're gonna throw it away. How many bad shit they've done that they've thrown away?
Not all the time.
Most of the time.
They've done that, like they did it with the Nightmare Collection or whatever it was. Yeah. But that probably had more to do with the fact that Awesome Kong couldn't actually get cleared to wrestle than anything else, and then Brandy was pregnant.
Yep. I mean, because if they were going to scrap terrible ideas, this fucking Kenny Omega Young Buck shit would have been gone 3 weeks ago.
And the only reason, let's be clear here too, obviously for the long term of it, I'm glad that they never actually ended up scrapping the Dark Order, even though for a long time, I think at least me, maybe other people were very much like, they got to give up on this. This shit ain't working. It doesn't feel like it fits, blah, blah, blah.
Brody saved it.
Brody 100% saved it to the point where if he was still with us, they would be one of the main acts on the roster.
Probably
they're still pretty close because they have the Adam Page connection and stuff, but they're not as up there. Like Brody Lee would be in the main event scene right now if he was still around.
Right.
No question about that. So yeah, no, Brody Lee coming in saved it. And it's funny because remember at one point it seemed like Matt Hardy was going to be the guy. If Matt Hardy had been the guy, the Dark Order would not currently exist. They would have given up on it as.
It would box him in too. Anyway, to be honest, because his character, the money map thing, the delete, all that.
Matt Hardy's gone through so many different gimmicks in AEW in the last 6 months that it's kind of sad.
It really is. This match, my opinion, honestly, wasn't needed for a long pay-per-view. And we complain about this being too long. This match should have been, like Matt Hardy, deleted.
I like this match. I like that you had Miro and Lance Archer on the show. They're both guys who, again, like you don't necessarily see them every single week on TV, especially not Lance Archer, but they can be brought in and be made important very easily. So I've appreciated that. Like, these are the guys that I appreciate getting a slot on the pay-per-view. I don't mind sitting through a 4-hour pay-per-view. I don't mind sitting through a 10-match card pay-per-view as long as all of the matches have a reason for being there and are actually pretty decent.
Right.
Like, honestly, and you guys will disagree with me, and that's fine. If you had to cut something from this show, I'd rather cut Anthony Ogogo and Cody than cut Miro and Lance Archer. And maybe that's just because I'm a big fan of those guys. But, like, I am a big fan of Miro in this role. I am a big fan of Lance Archer, especially in this role. So seeing them get to have, what was it, like you said, like a 9-minute match?
Yeah, 9 minutes, 50 seconds.
Was perfect for them. They didn't need to go 15 minutes.
Oh, no, I agree.
They needed exactly the amount of time that they got, and they needed the match that they had. This is probably my, like, 3rd or 4th favorite match on the show.
Real quick, when I said that, it was less about the match itself. I actually liked the match.
Yeah.
It's the feud. It was, as you said 2 weeks ago, let it breathe. It was too soon. He just got the title 2 weeks ago. In fact, I told Mike earlier that it should have been Darby against B-Row for the title. They should have changed to the pay-per-view.
I'm okay with the direction that they went in, especially because you did have Darby in another feud already. Sure. That was one of the nice parts about Darby already being in another feud was that you could take him out of the TV title scene without it feeling like, wait, where'd Darby go? You know?
And
he was in a more important match, frankly.
It's clear it doesn't need a title anymore.
You also could have had Darby retain the title or not even have that match on Dynamite, have him wrestle in the tag match, just not have a TNT title match on the show, and then have Miro jump him after the match and then set it up for this week on Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. They rushed. I get getting the belt to Miro. Like, Miro should be the TNT champion. That's not my argument.
Right.
My argument is the TNT title match where Darby dropped it should have been on Dynamite this Friday.
Right.
Agreed. I'm with you on that.
I really like that they were able to get both Miro and Lance Archer on the pay-per-view. So I'm not mad at that.
And also, if I'm crossing something off of the fucking pay-per-view, I'm either crossing the Battle Royal off or I'm crossing off the other women's match with Serena Deeb and Rio, and I'm moving the Battle Royal to the pre-show. Yeah. Because at the end of the fucking day, like, obviously, given the options, an NWA women's title match is not a priority of mine.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's on the pre-show.
But okay, if you have to cut something to save time, if like gun to my head, I'm moving the Battle Royal to the pre-show, which saves me 20 minutes on the main show, and I'm cutting the other women's match.
The only reason why I'm okay with the Battle Royal being on the show is because, as we said for over a year now, we want Jungle Boy to push. We want him to be pushed, and we need people to see that.
There was plenty of people that saw it.
Yeah,
there's plenty of people that saw Rio versus Serena Deeb to make the comment that match was better than the women's title match.
Exactly. I gotta agree with
you. That point, I agree. Well, that point
still counts, you know.
Right. Okay. Next match here. Speaking of the women's title match, in 17 minutes and 20 seconds.
Great segue.
Yeah, excellent segue. We know how we do it.
Welcome.
17 minutes, 20 seconds. AEW Women's World Championship on the line. The Doctor, Britt Baker, DMD, defeats Hikaru Shida by submission to gain the AEW Women's Championship. The biggest thing I noticed in this match, honestly, is that, yes, Britt Baker's a heel, or maybe she's not, because she was fucking over. That crowd was with her. the entire night.
Definitely over. Like we're not surprised by that. We all knew. That's like she's more over than her boyfriend, honestly.
Yeah.
I stand by that sentiment.
I would have thought maybe 50-50. You know, people that hate her because she's a bitch, but love her because she's who she is. But it was 80-20, 90-10 Britt Baker getting cheers. And in fact, they chant the DMD. They chant it with her. Yeah.
So my thing...
Everybody did boom with Adam Cole for like a year and a half in NXT. So, I mean, literally, you give us fans something to do, we're going to do it because that's what we do.
I still do boom.
That's my point.
That for you.
Genius.
Me and my kids.
I love that.
Play the theme song
So, okay, my thing with this match. First of all,
hold on. I'll let you get there, but now we have to small sidebar.
Okay.
Wait, sidebar, or is this sidebar?
Yeah. No. In the Christian family,
yes,
there's 4 of you.
A dog and 2 cats.
4 humans. Which member of the Undisputed Era is each of them? Like, obviously, Lauren has to be Adam Cole because she's the brains of the operation. That's fucking obvious by anybody who listens to this fucking podcast.
I can't deny that.
Obviously, she's the brains of that operation. And I feel that Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were a tag team, so you kind of have to make Logan and Eli the tag team. So that means you are Roderick Strong. Enjoy. Continue.
And where am I? And where the fuck is Roderick Strong now? We don't know.
You left NXT because you didn't want to see your friends fight anymore. Way to take your ball and go home, bitch. Let's continue. Sidebar over.
Sidebar over. Back inside.
That's amazing. So, number one, I really enjoyed this match. I really did. So it's funny, right? I agree with Mike. I think that if the earlier women's match wasn't a thing, that we might all be talking more about this match because obviously it's hard not to compare it to another women's match that happened on the same show. And that one was better. That one was. Rio was really on her game. And, Serena Deeb is kind of one of the best female wrestlers that they have access to. So I'm not surprised that that one was a better match. I like Sheeta. I like the character she was going for here. It's like I was saying last week when we previewed the show, I kind of hope that she kind of picks a character and sticks with it. Becomes like this badass, like I'm wearing all white and I'm going to hit you with a kendo stick or whatever. Like it can work for her. I love that Britt Baker won this match. I think that was the best move that you can make for the women's division. I think if you didn't do that, you were kind of shooting yourself in the foot. There were little things about the match that I didn't like. Like, I could be nitpicky just as a fan nitpicky in terms of, like, this didn't look believable or that didn't look believable. Like, the spot where I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think it was one of those spots where, like, the referee was, I think, like, Reba jumped up to, like, try and get Sheeta's attention. And Sheeta just literally, like, stopped pinning Britt or, like, stopped having her in a hold or something to go deal with Reba. And I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like little things like
Rebel.
that. Huh? Rebel. Sorry.
Rebel.
Right.
Well, Reba. Well, yeah.
No, it's Rebel.
Real name Reba, stage name Rebel.
But, like, all I'm saying is, like, little things like that don't come across as genuine, and they got to make sense. Like, things in a match have to make sense. Spots have to make sense. When you're doing spots...
Have you not watched the Young Bucks match? When you say this out loud? Like, what the fuck do you mean? Your whole argument is null and void by the entire tag team division. What the fuck?
Look, I just want spots that make sense, okay?
Yes.
But I like this match overall. I like it's probably about like a 3.5 rainbow flag match for me. Maybe 4. It was really good. I'm a fan, but there were little things. And maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe it was timing. Maybe it was lost in translation. I don't know. But there were a couple of little moments where it was like, oh, shit, I got to go do this spot. Let me go do this spot. As opposed to, this is a story that's flowing and developing naturally. So I think that, like, Walter does really well. That I always say that, like, where, like, his matches never look like any form of stage, like we talked about what was going to happen before. It just looks like a car wreck where 2 guys are trying to beat the shit out of each other. Which, honestly, look, we're all adults. We've all accepted that wrestling has predetermined results and all of that. All I want from there is for it to look real. Like, just like when I watch fucking Fast and Furious, I want it to look like they're really blowing the cars up. I don't want it to look like, oh, that was some good CG. That's me.
Sidebar, real quick. Sidebar. You know you're good. Walter, you mentioned Walter. You know you're good when even Jim Cornette's praising you. And Jim Cornette don't praise anybody, especially in this era. And Jim Cornette loves Walter, just for the record.
That's not true. He praised every single student he ever made sleep with his wife.
That's facts.
Okay.
He just praised them for the sex.
So at this
You're
point
so
in the
big.
Oh, fucker.
So at this point in the show is where I noticed that one thing was starting to become a common theme in this show, and it's the thing that kind of hindered me as I went back and rewatched the show.
Need more boobs?
No. I need less interference from fucking outside sources.
Yes.
Every match, I felt like. Every single
match. Every single match did have some kind of outside interference.
Every single one?
The opening contest, Team Taz tried to come out and get involved. What was the second match again? That was the
Young Bucks. Which
Don Callis and Brandon Cutler tried to fucking spray what's his name in the face with the fucking icy medicine. Third match was what again?
The Casino Battle Royal.
That one had fucking the factory hit fucking Dustin with the cowbell to set up the match. So there was outside interference there after the guy was eliminated. The next match was the Go-Go Cody match, correct? That had QT Marshall and Arn Anderson got into it on the outside, distracted somebody. That counts. And now you have this match. That fucking obviously happened because we talked about fucking Reba, Rebel, fucking G.I. Joe, fucking... In the TNT title match, Jake the Snake Roberts came out with the fucking bag. At this point, every match had some kind of outside interference.
A little much.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to just keep going back to over and over again.
Like fucking alternate it. Like one match do it, the next match don't. One match do it, the next match don't. Don't make every match for the first 7 matches have outside interference, knowing that Don Callis is going to get involved in the world title match, and knowing that you have fucking Stadium Stampede where Tully Blanchard's going to be fucking involved.
Like the thing, like I appreciate. I don't mind all the stables. I think that's a good idea. I don't even mind on Dynamite and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, okay, QT Marshall's gonna have a match. Let's send out there the 8 members of the factory and the 10 members of the Dark Order and all that. All that's fine. When you get to the big show, when you get to the pay-per-view, when you get to the big event, I don't need that. Not in every match, especially. Like once or twice, maybe fine.
All it makes sense.
For the most part, send the guys out there. Let's have the one-on-one match. Like you signed Cody versus the Go-Go. Fucking have Cody versus the Go-Go. Don't have anybody else get involved in that.
The one that didn't bother me was the first match because it made sense because that feud was built on that whole thing. Brian Cage, you need these guys, and they come out there and go away.
Brian Cage also said they wouldn't get involved. So it makes sense because now you have the dysfunction inside of Team Taz.
Yeah, no, I know it worked with the story, yes.
But after that...
That's the thing. Look, you can make an argument where all of them work for the stories, but you don't do the same thing over and over again. It's like honestly, you wouldn't have more than one match end with the same finisher. You wouldn't have more than one match end by...
And also, that's what TV's for this shit.
Right.
Facts.
All right. Next match here. Tag team match between Darby Allin and the return of Sting. 12 minutes versus Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky. 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Darby Allin, Sting. Win. Dude, let's talk about Sting real quick. I know we have a topic on Sting until the end of the show. But wow. Just gotta say. And by the way, I was today years old and I found out he was 60 fucking 2. I thought he was 57, 58.
I thought he was like 65, so that's amazing.
Oh, wow, really? Looks fantastic for his age.
I don't know why. But I mean, the fact that he's in his 60s and moving as well as he can move and hitting this. And that's the thing. He wrestled that the exact perfect way. He wasn't in the ring a ton. He wasn't doing a lot of spots. And the 3 or 4 spots he did do were big and memorable and really exciting. And it was nothing that he didn't handle, obviously. He obviously knew Like, he wasn't going to go out there and try to do anything that he can't do, because honestly, you're not going to put yourself at risk like that. So it worked perfectly. It made me excited, honestly. And I think it proves that maybe him and Darby, like, together is the perfect place for Sting. Like, I wouldn't even mind them ending up as, like, a tag team, like, for a real tag team and being in the tag division. You don't need Sting as a singles wrestler. You just don't. And if he had to be in a match by himself, he wouldn't be able to wrestle it the way he wrestled this, which worked perfect for him. So
unless
I think
it's a
okay with more of this.
Unless it's an 8 to 10 minute match.
Right.
Did you did you guys mark out Stinger Splash?
Of course I did.
I fucking marked like a motherfucker, dude. I did.
No, that was exciting. That whole match, I enjoyed that match a lot. I really did. It was perfect for what it needed to be. It was never going to steal the show. It was never going to be a 5-star match. It was never going to be this incredible thing. But it was probably better than most of us thought it was going to be going in, because we really had no idea what Sting was going to be capable of. It was well booked. It was whoever was the agent for that match, or whatever AEW likes to call that position. It was a well laid out, well booked. It's the kind of match where it didn't feel like they were doing spots. It felt like everything flowed naturally. The camera angles were even right. Like, the stuff, like I think I've complained about this before, but I hate when the camera is just like on the group of guys and then someone jumps on them. And it's like, okay, well, great. We knew that was going to happen because you were just standing there. You get the camera angle, right, where it's like, you just showed the people and then all of a sudden someone's jumping on them. That's a hell of a lot more exciting, because it doesn't look staged. It doesn't look fake. Right. Again, we all accept that this is what it is. It's stuntmen, it's performance, it's acting, it's all of that. Now it just needs to be filmed well. Like, if this was Empire, you'd be annoyed if you saw the boom mic, and it would affect the way you enjoyed the show. That's just the way it is, I enjoyed the hell out of this match.
No, so did I. I really enjoyed this match, and I think that this is the perfect thing for Sting and Darby to be together. But I think I have to give a lot of kudos to the guys that they wrestled against.
Yep.
Yes.
Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky were two guys that got the best out of Sting and Darby in this situation, and it's a testament that how good both Page and Sky are in ring. And if anybody thought that they weren't that great, like, this is the match you show them and goes, they got the best out of a 63-year-old and a guy who's been TNT champion and just dropped the belt like a week and a half ago, who's probably had his fucking body beat to shit and back. They got more out of them than probably most other people on the roster would have. So, definite kudos to Sky and Page on that one, because I think, like, that's one that I'm just, you got to give those guys a lot of credit for.
Totally agree with you.
The most out of them.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those matches where it's like everyone gets to the back afterwards and it's just like pats on the back and high fives all around. It couldn't have gone any better, honestly.
And for the record, it didn't hurt Page and Sky either. It didn't hurt him at all.
No, it really didn't.
I said that on last week's show, and everyone called me crazy, that I thought that Darby and Sting were going to win, that I didn't think that Page and Sky needed the win.
Right.
It wasn't going to kill them losing to Sting and Darby. They lost to a guy who's been TNT champion for 6 months and a guy who's
a legend.
So now, if this would have been a 7-minute squash match and they got no offense in, then I'd be like, maybe we got to fix it.
I do wonder what the follow-up is going to be. Like, is this feud over? Does this continue? And if it is over, then where do Page and Sky end up? Because Darby's still going to be on the show every week. Darby's not going anywhere, especially when he's got Sting in his corner. He's showing faces. I don't want Page and Sky ending up back on fucking Elevation, and like having most of their run there. I want to keep seeing that.
I would say that this feud is not over.
Okay.
I would keep some legs to it. Now, necessarily, I don't know that I would get them back into a tag match, but I could see it leading to a either Gentleman versus Darby Allin match.
Right.
Blow off of it. And then they kind of go their own separate ways. Now, mind you, I'm probably wrong, and tomorrow night on Dynamite, there will probably be some angle where, Darby Allin gets into a feud with somebody else. Insert random name here. I don't care who you pick.
Right.
Because that's what they do. But yeah, I hope that this feud isn't over, because I like the match, and I think that, if they have one more big match between the pair, it's not the end of the world. And maybe that's the match where it ends with Page and Sky doing something underhanded or cahooting or something evil to get the win, kind of thing. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world to me, but I hope it's not over for mistake of, like Joe said, I don't want this to be the end of a main show push for Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page.
Right, exactly.
All right. In 27 minutes, in a three-way match for the AEW World Championship, Kenny Omega defeats Orange Cassidy and Pac by pinfall.
Why?
This match was so much fun, and I hate three-way matches normally, but this is a fun fucking match.
I feel like you say that about every three-way match that comes up in conversation.
Lately, lately it's been good.
Oh, but this one I like.
But look at it this way. Look at the three guys in this match. The one I liked also before, Danny Bryan made it great. Anybody else would have sucked.
Fair.
But
yeah, I like this match a lot. Like I said, to me, this might have been the best match on the show. If not, it's a close number 2 behind Brian Cage and Adam
Cowboy
Page.
shit.
Right. I thought this match was really good. I was really a fan. I think it took a while to get going. Like I don't know that this needed to be a 27-minute match. It probably could have been a 20-minute match. And hearing the time on it makes a lot of sense because I did feel like the first, like, let's call it the first act of the match, really dragged a little bit.
Sluggish.
I'll admit, for a guy who prides himself on not pulling a Joe Lopez and falling asleep during shows, the first half of that match definitely put me to sleep.
It took a while to get going. But once it kicked into that next gear, Like, once it got going, it really got going, and it was very entertaining and very exciting. I loved everything that Orange Cassidy was doing in it. I think I just said Orange. Everything about the second half of this match was really, really good. I even kind of liked the spot with Omega using the different belts for like different belt shots and stuff like that. I thought that was a fun way to actually, incorporate his whole belt collector thing in there. I really don't like Kenny Omega's character. I don't. I'm so over it. And the thing is, like, look, you can be the greatest actor on the planet, but if I think that the character you're playing is shit, then I'm really not going to enjoy watching you. And that also goes for pro wrestling. I think Kenny Omega's character right now is complete and utter shit. And I literally groan whenever he comes out on my TV at this point. And that's not good when he's your world champion.
And yet, in ring is amazing. It's incredible.
It's hard for me to separate the two things. Like, it's hard for me to be like, first of all, it's hard for me to say that when I've seen the amazing Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
I've seen him wrestle Okada.
That's what I was just about to say. That Kenny Omega that was on that show, not the Kenny Omega that's fucking fighting in Tokyo.
You know what it is, too? Also, I think because Omega's still kind of new to me. Right. To you guys. That's why I'm a little more proud. And by the way, the character is stupid, too, for the record. I'm with you. But the in-ring product is fucking fantastic. Real quick.
He's great, obviously. He's definitely one of the probably like top 15, 20 wrestlers in the world. But he out there acting like he's number one. And it's like, bruh, you were number one. It's like going to a restaurant and seeing that they have signs up about how they were like Zagat rated back in 2015. And you're kind of like, what the fuck happened the last 5 years? Like, are you guys, like, do you guys suck now? Or, like, you're really holding on to that one thing from 5 years ago?
Real quick. Obviously, Kenny Omega's fantastic. Orange Cassidy got pops. You know what? Can we talk about Pac real quick? How good Pac is, man. Fuck, he's so underrated, too.
Pac is one of those guys that's just kind of lost in the AEW shuffle. He's one of those guys where it's like, it's great that you have so many different guys that you can move in at any time that are a big deal, but you also basically end up not using him to his full potential half the time. Because really, like, what is there for him to do? He's not ever, like, he needs a good, like, feud or a storyline that has nothing to do with the title in any capacity.
Any ideas, Mike? Any ideas for that?
For Pac or for Kenny?
For Pac.
I would have him and Death Triangle feud with trying to think who I would have them feud with.
I mean, there's plenty of
nothing solo for Pac though. Nothing solo.
Not right now because it feels like that Ray Phoenix is the one they want to push as the solo act from that group. Or you just have all three of them feud in singles feuds, and Pac goes and destroys Darby Allin.
Well, you know what? You know how I feel. Lucha Bros win a tag title at some point next year.
No, they don't. Stop.
That's what I want. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's what I want.
You know what? They're going to win it, but they're not going to have the same theme, so you're going to be so pissed that you don't get to hear that theme.
I'll have to get over it. That's all. You know? It is what it is. But yeah, fantastic match. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy should have won the title. I will wholeheartedly
I'll
say that
co-sign
till I die. I mean, even if he would have lost it like 2 weeks later to Kenny on an episode of AEW Dynamite, like I wouldn't have cared because I would have gotten the pop of watching the Slug walk out with the world title and just be like,
Orange Cassidy is hands down one of the most unique characters in pro wrestling, and it works. And that's the thing, like, one of the things I really like about Orange Cassidy is the fact that he can do so many simple things. Like, he can get a crowd to fucking mark the hell out over him putting his hands in his pocket. But then they also make it work in the storyline. Like it worked in the match where it was like, oh, he's going to get fucking suplexed to death. He's got his hands in his pocket. Oh, shit, it's not going to happen. Nobody else could do that spot. Nobody else would do that spot. That's one of the things that makes Orange Cassidy such a huge star for this company. And honestly, like he's one of those guys I think they use perfectly well. They really do a great job booking Orange Cassidy.
You know, admittedly, I thought at this point we'll be over him, but it still feels fresh what he's doing.
Yes, and it's because they don't overexpose him. Yes. They don't push too much. He's not on TV 30 minutes every week doing his act and stuff. You get little slivers of it, and it works.
It also works, and it's also fresh because he is freshly squeezed. Cassidy.
No,
the thing here with now, what do you do with him?
Him being
Orange.
Okay.
We've kind of described. Okay. Pac's probably gonna go have a feud with somebody random. Now, is Orange Cassidy someone that you now feed to Miro?
I would say no, only because you just got off of that best friends and Miro and Kip Sabian feud. I think you need to keep them separated at this point. But see, Orange Cassidy is one of those guys where I don't even know that you have to have him do anything for the next month or two, other than like show up on Dynamite, and it's like every week or two. And he's not actually right. Exactly. It's not going to hurt him at all. He doesn't need to be in a feud right now. He doesn't need
to wrestle for a couple weeks, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it won't hurt him. And then when the next pay-per-view is about to come up, you're about a month away from that, get him in a feud so you get him on the show. That's when it actually matters.
He should be the manager of their new companion, Chris Statlander.
I would love that.
Yes. She's not part of that faction now. All right. And finally, 31 minutes, 30 seconds. Stadium Stampede number 2 saw the Inner Circle
11 minutes defeat too long.
The Pinnacle. Yes.
About 11 minutes too long.
Yeah, easily 10 minutes too long.
I hate the match.
Okay, so it wasn't as good as the first one. I didn't really enjoy this match as much as I thought I would. It was all right. It's all right. Had nice little spots here and there. You know, Urban Meyer and whatever. And was it Charlie Strong?
Yep.
Mike? Yeah.
Yep.
It was all right. A couple good spots. But overall, honestly, didn't care.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was, first of all, I think this is the match that officially proved that you really can't do cinematic matches in the live crowd post-COVID world anymore because it just didn't work. It really just didn't. And if I was in that live crowd, I probably would have been kind of annoyed that, I mean, granted, they got to the ring in the end and that was kind of nice, you know. But even then, they got to the ring in the end. It was a one-on-one match, basically, to finish it between, what was it, Sammy?
Sean Spears and Sammy Guevara.
Right, exactly. It wasn't even like you had all 10 guys out there until, like, you had the Inner Circle come out to celebrate. I didn't like how separated the whole match was. How, like, you basically almost had no interaction of 5-on-5 after the first couple of minutes. Everything after that was, okay, let's go see what Sammy and Sean Spears are up to. Okay, let's go see what Jericho and MJF are up to. Let's go see this other, you know what I mean? Like, it was broken off a little too much for me, and I just didn't enjoy that.
So Conan making special appearances as a DJ didn't really get you up and going?
No, not even a little.
I actually didn't hate that part.
That was kind of fun, actually. The DJ did you know, the cheers, all that. I will say, too, a lot of my reason why I don't like this match, too, is because this whole feud was rushed.
Yeah. And we all knew that. Look, we knew that the Inner Circle wasn't going to lose because Pinnacle won Blood and Guts. But then we also knew the Inner Circle wasn't going to lose because you put the fucking stip on there that if they lose, they're done. And we knew that wasn't going to happen.
And we also knew that you were going to close the show with the most over theme song in AEW, so everyone could have a fucking sing along because that's what we do.
Yes. Hogan's got to pose and fans got to sing Judas. That's the thing.
Exactly. Hogan.
Are you guys tired of Judas now?
Must be sung.
You guys over it now? You guys over Judas now? You guys over it?
I like it as a song. I listen to it sometimes on my iMusic.
That's true.
Apple Music? Is it called iMusic? And it's not called iMusic.
Apple Music. Apple Music.
Like, it's a great song. I don't know that I think it fits Jericho's character the way he's playing it right now or anything like that, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing that I took away from this match, very dumb to open up with the fucking rappelling from the fucking scoreboard.
That was dumb.
Because can I ask you guys a question? Why would you rappel from something that you have to climb up? The fuck are we doing?
I didn't even think that.
At that very moment, I told myself, you can only get worse from here. Because they're starting with the stupidest spot in the entire fucking match. Yeah. So the separating each other thing worked at certain points, but there should have been more intertwining. Like, even if it was Sammy and Hager versus Wardlow and Spears, right. MJF then runs up on them and Wardlow stops Jericho by fucking hitting him with like a chair.
Right.
Letting MJF run away. Whatever. Like, it would have worked. But no, let's just keep them away from each other and do like a tag match and 3 singles matches. Like, what are we doing? I mean, I think at this point, like, the only way that we can determine who wins this feud is literally we're going to have an episode of either Dynamite or Rampage. It's going to be FTR versus Pride and Powerful.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be like, what?
Wait, I think Ernest is about to do an Ultimate Warrior promo.
He was fucking snorting.
Yes.
So in my just.
You guys heard that? My mic was off.
Yes.
Fuck.
We're not deaf.
No, mic was off though. No, my mic was off though. I turned it off.
Sure.
So
awesome.
I would literally have a 5-match show. It would be FTR versus Pride and Powerful, Hager versus Wardlow, Sammy versus Shawn Spears, Jericho versus MJF, and in the tiebreaker, Tully Blanchard versus some random fucking old guy that they can get, and that's going to determine who wins the feud.
Oh my God.
I mean, at the end of the day, you've now used your 2 best gimmick matches for groups.
Wait.
They're 1-1. How the fuck do you determine who wins the feud?
I have an actual one for you based on the idea you just threw out, okay?
Oh.
Do the whole show, like you said. Do 4 matches. Do the 4 matches like you said, right? If there's need for a 5th match, if the series is tied at the end of 4, whoever won those other matches get to go on to this 5th match on the opposite sides. Whoever wins that match wins. Like Battle Bowl-esque, you know what I mean? Like remember like the Survivor Series where it was like the Ultimate Survivors match? Like that. And we make it clear from the beginning of the show, granted, it is a wrestling thing, right? So you make it clear that the 5th match only if necessary, but of course it's going to end up being necessary. And you get to have your main event where, like, for the second time in the night, you get Jericho, like Jericho already beat MJF, but now you get Jericho in the ring taking on FTR or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you get Jericho and Sammy against FTR. That's what you end up with, like, as your final match. I'd fucking...
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I mean, at that point, you would get Jericho and Sammy versus Wardlow and FTR, or Jericho, Sammy, and Hager versus... Because that might be something where you see, like, that would be where, they lose and Hager...
And Wardlow go to, like, a no contest or something, or draw.
Or you have Hager win, and that's whenever Hager snaps and fucking just does whatever the fuck Hager wants.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been waiting around the whole time, fucking waiting for my fucking push. This motherfucker's done kept me down. Oh, that's travel.
I hate it.
It's coming.
Like a motherfucker.
No matter when, it's coming.
Oh, it's a bad travel. Whoa.
Yeah.
Carry.
Sounds by 13. Anyway.
Sounds by 15. You're fucking delayed.
I'm behind by 2 minutes 57 seconds in the game.
Oh.
Sounds by 15.
Joe, your topic. Let's roll.
Let's go, Joe.
Right. Let's make this fast because I'm tired.
Me too.
But this is a simple one, right? I obviously saw Sting wrestle the other night in a fantastic outing for someone both his age and who hasn't really been in the ring in a very long time and all that. And I realized, I think there's always been an argument that Sting was synonymous with WCW, that he was like the franchise player of WCW. He never went anywhere else, yada, yada, yada. But a lot's happened in the last 20 years. In the last 20 years, Sting has become one of Impact's biggest stars. He was in WWE for a hot second. He's now in AEW, hopefully for longer than a hot second, and definitely being someone who they're pushing really well. So my question to you guys is, and I'm not going to ask it as a yes or no question. I want you guys to actually explain it. What reasons do you feel that Sting either is or is not still synonymous with WCW?
Sting to me, and even if I was watching the last 15, 16, 17 years I missed, him going to Impact, whatever, he would still be a WCW guy to me because he was there from the beginning, pretty much. He was there through the biggest boom, I mean, he was their Undertaker, pretty much. It wasn't his fault that he went somewhere else. His company literally got bought out. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Like to me, when I think of WCW, honestly, the first person to come on is Sting. But that's it.
Do you think that his career outside of WCW has not been as noteworthy? Or
I can't necessarily speak on that as in detail.
Showed up in WWE. Have you watched
obviously, I know he spent time in Impact. Obviously, I know he spent time in with WWE for a little like what, a year? What was that, a year, 2 years?
Not even. It was
okay, right. So he's done that, but it's no. I mean, to me, his legacy, he's if you look at top tier 1, tier 2 wrestlers, forget rank them, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I had to tell you all time wrestlers ever, tier 1, tier 2. He's a tier 1 guy easily.
Do you think he's the most synonymous with WCW, or you think Flair's in there also?
I would say honestly, he. Well, damn, that's tough because I might get Sting the edge for one reason. He stayed.
He did.
He stayed. He stayed. He was their biggest babyface for a long time. He was their Hogan. And even during the NWO years, he still stood out. They changed his character a little bit, the little Crow character, and he was still over. And to me, that was when I realized, this guy, he's a tier 1 guy. I mean, without question. It didn't look. Obviously, I can't speak on the years after 2001 because I didn't watch much of his stuff after that.
Right.
But I do really believe that even if I still stayed watching the product beyond 2001, 2002. I will have the same opinion.
I mean, look, if you've got an hour at some point this week, you can watch his entire WWE run.
Facts.
Only needs an hour.
Yeah. No, he had 2 matches and showed up for one big angle involving Triple H and the Authority. That's it. That's all his run was. And
was Seth Rollins in that too?
Injured, so that might have been part of why it was so short, but it was short.
Was Seth Rollins involved in that too also, I believe?
Seth Rollins. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Seth Rollins is the second match that he had where he got injured by Seth, and we thought that Sting's wrestling career was over at that point.
Right. No, he's a WCW guy through and through. He's you took a look at tier 1 all-time great wrestlers of any company in any era. He's in tier 1 for that reason. He is their Undertaker.
Mike.
Yeah, no, it's Sting. Sting is always going to be a WCW guy. As a guy who's watched WCW religiously, went to multiple Starrcades where he was the main event. When you think of WCW, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, NWO." No, Sting, potentially Luger. Then you think NWO. Then you think DDP, and Booker T at the end. But yeah, when Flair, obviously Flair's another name that's synonymous with WCW. I get he's been everywhere, but Flair really dug into everything in WCW. But yeah, Sting is if you're looking at the guy, like Sting's the WCW guy, no matter what happens, no matter where he wrestles, no matter how good his run is at insert random location here, if you have like the WCW All Time Award, like it's the Sting Award, like it's named after him, like that's what it is. Like Sting is that guy. Like obviously, like the Sting WCW Wrestler of the Year is like everything is synonymous with Sting when it comes to WCW to me.
Put it this way, if WCW still existed today in 2021, he'd probably still be there.
Yeah,
he'd still be there.
Okay, so now here's different angles to the question. Do you guys think that it helps or hurts whatever company he's showing up in that you look at him and you're like, it's the WCW guy?
No, because again, he can't control what happened after. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his decision.
You think it helps or hurts? You think it helps?
I was gonna say the way that you worded that question, you're like, does it help or hurt? And he's like, no. I'm like, what the fuck did that mean?
No, it doesn't hurt him at all. Because again, and the reason it hurt him because of the fact that he didn't make the decision to move. He was forced to move.
The reason why it doesn't hurt them is because Sting is one of the best wrestlers of all time.
Tier 1.
In-ring, his promos, doesn't matter where he's at. The guy just, as a professional wrestler, is one of the best of all time. Like, cool, he stayed with WCW until the wheels fell off. Kudos to him. He was making a shit ton of money to do it. He was smart.
He earned it.
But I don't think it hurts anything that he does because of how great of a wrestler Sting is.
That makes sense.
Oh, look, a Gossip Girl promo. Look at that. Intro Max. Look at that for you. You weren't watching it.
I agree with you guys, too. Like, for the most part, I do feel like you look at Sting and your thoughts just go to WCW. And I don't know if it's because he's still rocking the same look that he's been rocking since mostly 1997. I know there's been a couple of times where he channeled the Joker in Impact and was doing like some of the funky makeup and stuff.
And he was Tomato Face Sting in NWO Wolfpack.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about Tomato Face Sting. But no, there's a lot. You're right. I agree with you guys. You look at him and you can't not think of WCW. It's funny. I sent you that photo that I took with Sting at New York Comic Con. My friend Mike Kingston, who writes Headlock Comics, great comic, totally check it out. I think they have a website. It's totally worth it. But he had Sting signing at his table, and I was helping him that day at the table, just kind of, control the line and stuff. And before I was leaving, I was kind of like, he was like, do you want to meet Sting? And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to meet Sting. Like, wait a second. Now, I'm sure my actual reaction was like, can I? Huh? What? Like, I was very starstruck, honestly. Sting was probably the most starstruck I've ever been meeting anybody in my life. And I go over to him, we take the photo and stuff. And I told him, because at the time I was rewatching 1997, like all of it. Rewatching Ross and Nitro, all of it. And I say to him that, hey, I'm doing this. I'm rewatching 1997. And this man just had the biggest smile on his face. And it was just like, the good old days. And I was just like, okay, he knows it. Like, Sting understands that, like, he is nostalgia. He is, like, literally just, like, a walking encompassment of nostalgia.
Yeah, and again,
non-wrestling related real quick before you guys continue with this topic. LeBron James is a bitch.
What happened now? I'm watching
you lose by 13. You don't even fucking dap up anybody from the other team. You just walk into the fucking tunnel like a bitch.
Dab?
Dap up, not dab.
Fuck that guy. Continue, Ernest.
What's that, like a pen?
At least Anthony Davis is out there saying, like, hey, good series, guys, good series.
And he got hurt. Good luck. In the locker room, yeah.
Yeah. Kiss my ass, LeBron, you fuck.
Anyway, real quick for Joe, like, put this way, to wrap up this topic. What I think WCW in general, he's the first name that comes to mind to me. For anybody.
I can see that.
So, just saying.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you love this week?
This is going to be a fun one. So, Braun Strowman. Let's have a conversation.
No.
I know that you were looking forward to your millions upon millions for the next few years. You had that, like, real tight, awesome. You somehow convinced them that you were worthy of this really big Roman Reigns style contract. And that was great. until they realized that you weren't. You weren't worth it. You're kind of a dick. Apparently, you might have some crazy beliefs. Possibly, I don't know for sure. I haven't read that much on it. But at the very least, you couldn't just like keep your mouth shut when people were literally going hungry last year because, unlike if you worked in WWE where they were still putting on shows, if you were mainly an indie wrestler working in places like Ring of Honor or even lower rung indie companies like AEW and places like that, you didn't have a job anymore. And here's this man with his big ass millions a year contract doing so great and everything, just won the world title from Goldberg and stuff, being like, but have you tried just getting a job? Like that was the literal advice. He literally was like, hey, I understand you're poor, but have you tried not being poor? So Braun Strowman, the fact that you've been let out of your contract and stuff, I mean, you're unemployed now, but have you tried not being unemployed? I think that's the question you got to ask yourself. And until you come to that answer, well, no, I don't even love Braun Strowman. I just really wanted to talk shit about him. But, okay, Braun Strowman, you've been fired, and I love that for you.
All right, MVPs.
Well, I'm not going first. I just got the...
I'll go first. My MVP this week is a surprise on folks here. Ultimate Warrior. I watched both docs this week. Dark Side of the Ring, and the A&E biography. Both worth watching, in my opinion. And
wait, I have to give you shit right now. Like, I'm literally required to give you shit right now as a homosexual man.
Yeah.
That man was one of the biggest homophobes on the planet.
I know that.
And it's Pride Month, and you just made him your MVP.
It's not a compliment here to the record, okay? Let me finish first.
MVP is always a compliment.
It's not always a compliment. Not always.
Yes, always. You want to shit on somebody. Like, Braun Strowman's not about to be my MVP.
Ultimate Warrior's a piece of shit. Let's be clear. Well, he's still a piece of shit. Whatever. He also hated blacks, just for the record. I don't know if you know that either.
Man, he must have really loved, like, Shaquille O'Neal's daughter. Am I thinking of the right person?
I don't know.
Is he the one who has a transgender daughter? Is that
Magic Johnson?
Magic Johnson. Thank you. Look, I don't know real sports. I know he was a basketball player. I deserve credit for that.
No. So, let me modify it to be clear. The documentaries are very interesting to watch. The documentaries are. So
okay, can we rephrase your MVP?
MVP is documentaries.
Documentaries be your MVP?
Fine. I need to label something.
Yes.
It is interesting, though. His life story is very interesting, I will say. And I think, you have the A&E biography, which is a little bit sanitized, but it does go into some of the stuff you're talking about. And then you have the Dark Side of the Ring, which is ex-wife is pretty much a narrator, not narrator, but she's pretty much the core of the story. And she really doesn't really kill him on this thing, to be honest with you. But it's still pretty bad. Like the guy was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
So this that's why. And for the record, it's funny. I hated the Warrior even before all this shit came out. So.
And the thing I think is, I'm just gonna say one last thing about him before we move forward, because he's a piece of shit.
He's dead though. Remember that.
This also. No, fuck that. He was a piece of shit while he was alive. He's allowed to still be.
No. Say it.
But so here's the thing, though, right? This also isn't the case of someone who like seemed like the perfect gentleman, and now we're finding out these secret conversations he had where he said all these horrible things. This man went and gave speeches where he said all these horrible things. So really, like, wholeheartedly, fuck you, Ultimate Warrior.
Michael.
No, I'm letting Joe go. He's on a roll.
All right. My MVP for this week is actually like third time he's come up on this show, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, I went curveball. It's okay. My MVP.
I think I talked you out of the other one.
You very much did. I realized I didn't know as much about that story as I thought I did. And
Which one's that?
On it. But don't worry about it. I'll text you.
Text me later.
Yeah. My MVP this week is Sting. Because honestly, if you're 62 and you can do a fucking dive off of a whole bunch of casino chips the way that he could, you deserve to be the MVP.
All right. I have two MVPs. The first one, the biggest pop of the night from AEW Double or Nothing, Adam Hangman Page. Strapped the rocket ship to his back. And my second one.
That.
Yes. And my second one is the new AEW Women's Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
I love it.
All right, fellas.
This is for real. Ernest, before I make you have to just do a watch along on the show of Sting's entire WWE run, just do it willingly.
God, don't do that. Don't you dare.
Just do it willingly.
And talk sour.
If you guys fucking make me sit through his entire fucking WWE run, I'm gonna throw the phone.
Like, okay, what if we skip the WrestleMania match and just watch the Seth Rollins match?
Okay, you might tell me on that, but if I gotta sit through
I've
that
actually not seen that match.
I might throw up.
I've actually not seen the Seth Rollins match. I did not watch it live. Yeah.
Speaking of watch-alongs,
I probably fell asleep when it was on.
I don't know if you guys got my text, but as soon as the playoffs are over, I'm going to start watching 2003 and 2018 pay-per-views.
I predict that you make it to 2004.
No, I'll make it through because I actually want to know what I missed in those little eras, especially 2007 to 2013.
I predict that you get through 7 pay-per-views of 2003 before you look at yourself and go, "Why the fuck am I doing this?" That's exactly what me and Joe are with our podcast.
You're more likely to get through all of the like Ring of Honor shows and stuff because Mike and I are going to force you to sit down and watch those.
And you actually know those wrestlers because those wrestlers are wrestling in WWE right now.
Yeah.
I am curious about the Cena era though, like the details. So.
Well, I mean,
I give it till 2004. I don't think you get further than that.
Legitimately,
challenge accepted.
Maybe 2005 because 2004 is actually a really good year of WWE pay-per-views.
If you're worried about getting to the Cena era, like just pick like 06, 07 and go from there. Like don't sit through 2003.
03 is brutal.
We're still stuck on Unforgiven.
03 is weird because if you look at the WrestleMania that year, 19, that's arguably the most stacked, most talented roster of between vets and at the time newbies.
And you know what was on the show more than anything else?
What's that?
The fucking Miller Lite cat fight girls. What the fuck are we doing?
And on that note, fellas, good show. We'll see you next week.
Lopez out.
Okay, bye.